Hello, everyone. My name is Chasity, aka the Luminary Luna Beams,
And I'm Emily, the fine art medium.
and we're two mediums that specialize in the paranormal. Our purpose is to shed light on what goes bump in the night. That's why we call this podcast YouTube channel
Lights of midnight.
Lamp.
Bing, ding, 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 ding.
Ding ding. So Emily had a great idea today. We're going to do individually our top five paranormal experiences, or rather supernatural experiences, because not all of them are technically spooky for 2024. So we both have five individual paranormal experiences. We tried to think of one together, but this year we worked a lot on a more separate cases. So we have some video clips for you, depending on who's telling what story, and some links in the description box to get to the videos if they are associated with those. They're going to be rather interesting. So, again, some of them are paranormal, some of them are what we consider spiritual or supernatural. And what we're going to do is just take turns. So, we'll get to number one together, basically. So, five, four, three, two, and one. But I guess without further ado, we're going to go ahead and let Emily jump into her number five paranormal slash supernatural experience. Emily, what you got?
So, since we're starting with number five, this one's actually extremely recent. So, guys, I just released the videos on the Dumas brothel and the Butte, Montana tunnels. And I wanted to put this one as number five because it's been a while since I've been physically affected to the degree that I had been. So, yeah, it needed to make this list. But a brief synopsis, because I'm not going to go through all the details. You can literally go watch the video. But essentially, I start looking into the Dumas brothel, and I do it through remote viewing, and one of the entities, the non-human ones, begins choking me. And it's not one of
Oh
those,
God.
yeah, it's not one of those pains where you have to like guess of, oh, could it be like fibromyalgia? Could it be a spasm? Like, no, this was obviously like I'm being choked. And I'm like, what the heck? Get off of me. But even though the presence of this entity was very strong, it was very easy to like get rid of. I mean, it didn't take much at all. And yeah, I mean, it was a lot of that. And even when I'm like, when I wrote down this in my notes just to like remember what top five I'm gonna do, I started getting that burning feeling on the back of my neck, like some of the investigators said they'd experienced, because some of them would get scratched. I didn't get scratched, but I was feeling it in the back of my note as I'm writing these specific notes down, and I'm like, yo, what the heck? But again, like, I just was like, get off of me, get away, and it was fine. So it wasn't too bad. And then I also had an astral realm experience with this where one of the madams visited me during a meditation and told me pretty much, and it pretty much validated what spirit was telling me, how I didn't know much about the situation there and that I needed to dig further. And so that happened. And also, I saw a descended female earthy slithering around on the ground like a snake, and she has her mouth wide open, and it just consuming smoke like negative energy. It was freaky deaky. But even though the presence of the entities and spirits are strong, even when you look in remote viewing, I mean, if you're a medium, psychic, or sensitive, I feel like if you go and try to look like through remote view kind of way, you're gonna get something. And I feel like it's just as strong as Bobby Mackey's like spirits and things. So, yeah, I mean, that's why I kind of wanted to put it in there
Cool.
because I got a lot of physical sensations that were without a doubt I knew was not of me and it was of the entity.
Yeah. It's a lot of clairsentience, and a lot of people that have clairsentience experience things like that. they're very physical when you go into it, because you're experiencing either something like that or something one of the women went through and all that kind of stuff. Interestingly enough, I actually saw that video before Emily released her video, and it was, I mean, I didn't know she was releasing it, and it was a very interesting place. So we're going to definitely add that to a list there.
Mm-hmm.
The Dumas
Mm-hmm.
brothel. It's a pretty good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would totally go. Like, I don't know why. It's like, yeah, there is a non-human entity there that you could classify as a demon, but compared to Bobby and Mackey's, it's nothing.
It does make a big difference being there versus channeling. I would say that Bobby Mackey's, the channeling experiences that we had together were very significant, which Bobby Mackey's is on my list, so I'll save it. But it is different being in a place versus channeling a place. And yeah, I'll save it for later because Bobby Mackey's is on my list. But just hold that thought.
All right, what about yours?
All right. So for number 5, I've chose some experiences that I had at the St Albans Asylum in Rafford, Virginia. So overall, I can't really classify it as one just thing that stood out, except for the fact that I caught the slide. So I went up the steps by myself in the entryway, the grand staircase, and all of a sudden I'm up there by myself. I walk in a couple rooms. I turned to walk towards because I didn't do the history tour. So had no idea where I was going. So I'll start walking towards the 3rd floor, which is the S bathroom. If anybody's seen the video, I was going to say the S bathroom. Y'all may get what that means. YouTube doesn't like it very much. But then all of a sudden, before I get through the threshold of that door, I literally hear, because it's hardwood floors and carpet, I literally hear like a wooden object slide across another wooden object. So either like a bed post or a chair or even a drawer slide open. I mean, it was loud. And Angel and Ruth from Durham Paranormal were down in the bottom floor, and I could kind of hear them talking, but they wasn't up there with me. This was like around me. Could not figure out where it was coming from. But interestingly enough, the psychic visions and stuff that I had, I pre-channeled in a live the night before. And you're getting ready to see that in this clip right here. Steps about 10 minutes ago, and I just walked around up here and I was recording, and I've got to go check my audio, but I got to like right there and something slid across the floor. It's not like a chair or a piece of furniture. It just went, ooh. I went by myself because I didn't know what I was going to. I didn't know what I was going to.
All right, guys, everybody's on the history tour and it's taking a little bit longer. I'm going to go up these steps just to take a peek. There's a light on up here. I don't know how long I'll stay. Is this the long hallway? No? Okay. Something just opened by itself. Just heard something slide. Big.
Maybe this is Chastity's room.
I see a room full of, like, so this is during my meditation. I saw a room full of all kinds of people, and they were from different time frames. So you had like people from back in the day, like older people, they were dressed differently. And then some of these people were actually in more modern clothes, and they acted more modern, but they're in this room that almost looks like it has church pews in it. It was solid black, and then there was this one box room with a black mirror, almost like a seeing room, like it where you could view the people. And the younger crowd, or the people that were born first, the people in this different generations, they were all clustered together, like talking, trying to figure out a way to get out. And the people that were older that were there, they were just like sitting on the pews like this, just like that. I don't know.
Wow.
But yeah, and that's the little vision or imagery that I drew of the room, kind of like the layout. The long things are the pews, and the box is the room with the windows.
Now watch your step if you go over in that back corner, it's water.
Here's my room. Look, here it is. I knew this was your room. This is it. Right here. Okay, guys, so on my live the night before we came here to St. Albans, I was taken immediately, very visually, to a room that was black, like that had black walls. And there was a box in the back of this room, but it actually had like a two-way mirror on each side of the box, almost like a viewing room. And in this room, it looked like almost lines of pews, like church pews, right? And yeah, so I say this last night in the live. I found that room and nobody led me to it either. I was drawn back to this room.
Yeah, guys, that was an experience, because basically for me to be able to go to this room and not know that that was where they had the electroshock therapy, because I was totally confused. I thought we were in the hydrotherapy room, because that's what people have told me, because there was a bathtub in there. I thought it was hydrotherapy, which is where they cover you in cold water and they let you sit there sometimes for a long time. It's actually very torturous. It's not fun. It's not pretty. But for me to stand in the middle of that room, more than likely where the patient's head was, and just pick up all that energy, and to see that black room prior to going, and even like the layout of it that wasn't normal. I saw spirits there ranging from the early 1900s, and then it shifted to like people from the 80s, 90s, and maybe even early 2000s spirits, and they were separate. But all the spirits, I found this really interesting. All the spirits that I could date by their dress from like the 1960s and under, when they were in that room, the black room that you saw, they were sitting there just like blank. But the like 80s, 90s, 2000s folks, they were up congregating and talking. And what I didn't realize at the time that signified in my vision was those were the folks that were subjected to the brutal electric shock therapy. So that is my number 5. It was crazy. Oh, and the one thing I did leave out is that I was standing in the staircase. So this was a whole experience. And I was looking up to the second floor, right beside the basement. And I was looking up and I saw this tall, like dark thing. I thought it was a piece of furniture. And then the dark thing shrunk and then climbed on the side of the wall of the stairs and climbed down at me. That was right before I heard the slide.
Okay, yeah, now I'm remembering because you released that video, right?
Yeah, it's St. Albans. Yep.
Okay,
And
yeah.
and I'm putting all the links, any videos we talk about. There's going to be Emily's top 5, Chastity's top 5 with the links. So you guys can go check them out if you haven't already.
Yeah, I remember now. I was trying to figure out and cross-reference if that was one that I had the astral experience with, but it was not.
Okay. Yeah, I'm interested. I might hit that one. We'll see. Yeah, that's all I've got for my number 5. Emily, what about your top number 4 of 2024?
So my number 4, so this is kind of like a collection of cases, but they kind of generally ended the same way, if that makes sense. But this year I had a lot more client cases, and I wanted to note this just because it was a little spooky, but during a few client cases, I had a few that manifested while I began talking about cleansing and clearing methods. So, like, we would be on a Zoom call, and then I would get to the part where, I would start talking about like things that they can do for cleansing and clearing and all that stuff. And these clients, you could see like the manifestation of their attachment come through their eyes. Their eyes would get really dark, and like there would be this energy overlay over their face to make it look like their face kind of looked different from like normal, if that makes sense.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm like, ugh. And there was one, she started having like a coughing fit, I believe, and I couldn't even get a word out. Every time I would try, it just got worse and worse and worse. And I could see it in her eyes, and I'm just like, oh no. But there were some where it's just like you could see the entity come forth, and it was just, ugh, creepy. But like in those experiences, it's like you don't want to say anything to the client because you don't want to put them in a panic. So I kind of just like carried on and noted that for later for when I do my cleansing side. Because usually what I will do with clients is I'll set them up with like a cleansing routine and they
Mhm.
do it. And then the first few that they do, I'll do my thing on my end and help get rid of it that way. But those are like times where I wish I could just teleport to them and just do like a cleansing on like in the physical with them because I feel like
Yeah,
it would help. But I mean, those clients, they were able to get rid of the thing, so it still worked out. But it was just creepy because you can just see the eyes just get darker, and it's not like their pupils got bigger. It's like their entire like iris got like darker, and it's just like,
that's creepy.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a clairvoyant psychic manifestation
But that
for
is
sure.
my number 4. What about your number 4?
Okay, so number 4 for me would have to be, and I almost feel like it should go up on the list, but this is going to be kind of like a first look, never before seen, unless you're a member on my Our Appalachian Nightmare YouTube channel or a Patreon member. Is the only way you would have seen this, but was Madison Dry Goods. So I did some channeling prior to going into Madison Dry Goods, and I'm not sharing any of that yet, but I am going to share 2 things from Madison Dry Goods for you guys. First and foremost, this is the most REM pod activity I have ever seen. And it's just going to be a short clip. It's not going to be as fascinating, probably, to folks that watch paranormal stuff because they see REM pods go off all the time on occasion. I can't say that I've experienced that in the 6 or 7 locations I've been to so far. Very rarely do we have REM pods and cat balls go off. It is not normal. I want to just make that very clear. But I'm going to show you that, and I'm getting my hands on another official sneak peek that hasn't been released anywhere about what I saw during the double Estes session with me and Greg and what I experienced. I was thrown as soon as I laid my head on the pillow the night before I went to Madison Dry Goods and I held a quartz crystal. I was just going to meditate. I had no intentions. I was immediately thrown into Madison Dry Goods, not willingly. And I met a certain male spirit that ended up showing his face to me when I was under this double Estes session. And what you're about to see is crazy.
It's cold, cold, cold.
Do you want to be here?
This is the most REM pod activity I've ever seen.
Lots of us.
Lots of us, yeah, we know.
Make your presence known. That's what we want.
It's a cold spot. Feel it right here.
Yeah.
It's everywhere now.
Yeah, it's traveled over this way too. It's like it's spreading out.
It's wild.
They're moving.
As soon as Chasity started walking that way, there was a creep on the step, and then the REM pod started going.
How many people are standing around me? You need to. I got it over here. You need to go over there.
They're scared of us. I'm scared of them. Don't be scared. We're not hurt. We're not here to harm you.
No, we just want to talk to you.
Yeah, we just want to know your story. We want to communicate.
We in
We
no
want to
way.
find out who you are. Who's on the stairs?
The temperature change. No, it's not. It's touching it.
Yeah, that's changing the color. I hate it.
It's going down the steps. It just went from one to the other.
Can you walk up the steps?
Death is here. She's always here.
Why?
Away, go away.
Death is here.
Why are
Why
they
is she
here?
here? They're everywhere.
Why?
There's somebody. That man's standing next to me again. I feel like I'm getting cold on my right side. He's standing right next to me.
You come to see your family?
And more.
How many are here?
Do you feel it?
My whole right side is cold.
Do you have a message for us to give someone?
Her back.
They're here.
Are you behind Chasity?
Are you standing next
Something
to her?
for me. A laugh, a giggle. Ha ha, bad girl.
Are you a bad girl?
That's not funny.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Of course.
What do you like?
Hey,
Hey,
hard to say.
You can
Hard to
rest
say.
here.
Look,
I love you.
I'm behind her.
Okay.
Is that why she's cold?
help or hell.
Do you want to hurt us?
I don't want to talk or I don't talk.
I like to talk.
Harden or heart.
Why do you keep giving me chest pains?
How did you die?
Delicious.
It's feeding off.
Do you feel it?
Yeah, I feel it.
Party time. Pressure in my third eye. You can stop that. Who's that?
Go ahead and move.
I got her.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
You think you do.
She's scared now.
Not
No,
really.
she's not scared.
Do you think that?
Sure.
Do you want us to be afraid?
Me.
Ha ha's laughing. You're not funny.
My breast or my breath.
You do see that we're protected, right? Of course, it's not going to say nothing to that.
Yeah.
You can't harm
Please
us.
don't see it.
Squeeze you.
Yeah, I
Go
feel
ahead.
it.
Hell.
I feel it in my head again and my chest. What the heck?
I mean, I don't
Inside
like
you.
Squeezed, but
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to tell us?
Up top.
yeah.
I didn't. That's me. I said that. Up top.
Jack did it. Who's Jack?
Who is Jack?
Yeah, we want to know who Jack is.
There you
Jack
go, boo.
is just really sound at this point. I really want to
I'm
know.
personally seeing shadows on the ceiling.
Is Jack
like
the
on
one who
wall
really
on
killed the
ceiling.
Lawson family? I'm crawling above you.
Wait, everybody sit still. Shh. Do it.
The hell's that thing?
Me, your mom.
Man, somebody's on the roof above us.
Yeah. So as I'm standing there, just to kind of give you an idea, I'm really trying to make sure I'm voicing my psychic visions as I'm there in the area, because it is overwhelming being in a place when there's a lot going on, multiple people, and I don't, I have multiple people going and electronics and everything. I'm sitting here and I literally see and feel the man stand next to me, and it tells me, or it tells Greg on the other Estes session that I'm standing behind her. She's scared. Also, as I see another black shadow figure standing at the big doorway on the second floor, right next to where I am, and I'm literally like up walking around in the spirit in Madison Dry Goods. I've never really had that happen before on location. Normally, I only have that kind of stuff happen like the night before or when I pre-channel. No, it was very strong. Also, too, Emily's cards, I used them, Emily, and it specifically said something along the lines of psychic attack you. It literally spelled out, and it wasn't like a normal card reading. It was literally telling me what it planned to do to me. And then when I saw that shadow right there in the door frame, and I said it just started climbing up the wall and onto the ceiling, but I said up the wall, and I saw it go onto the ceiling. Lo and behold, Greg with Estes on the other side of the hallway. We're in the same hallway, but we can't hear each other, only the people talking. He says, "I'm crawling above you."
Ew.
Ooh, got the chills.
I did too.
But yeah, that was you know, and the way that I organized my personal list is not just based on how creepy it was the overall experience. So like I rated it on what was I tried to rate it on what was captured, because one of these doesn't have any video at all. It's actually very personal, very special, but we'll get there. But I rated it on what I felt, what I seen and whatnot. And when we get to number one, it'll make a little more sense why I don't have a video. But I just rated it on overall experience. But that's my number 4.
Nice. That's crazy.
It was.
All right. So I guess now we're on to number 3. So my number 3 is, so it's kind of like a double experience thing. So mine has to do with the fire doll when I went to the Warren Paracon in I guess November. But so I was going around because they had brought the museum to the Paracon. So I was going around looking at all the items, and I specifically wanted to look at Annabelle to see the hype. Like, is she even, like, is she worth the hype? But instead, what I got was the spirit that was attached to the fire doll. And I do explain this in one of my videos. Again, I'll put it in the cards. You can go watch it. But it was this female earthbound spirit who had burns all over her body. She had a deformed looking head, flesh like peeling back and just burnt, and she didn't look like she was having a great time. But I had drawn it, and then I had shown it to Kelsey Davies, and she was like, oh my God, that's what I saw. And then she showed me her drawing, and then I was just like, mind blown. Because I don't typically watch paranormal videos on YouTube unless I know I'm going to react to them. And I do that on purpose because sometimes I'll just decide on a whim, oh, I'm going to react to this, and I don't want to know. And so that kind of like keeps me from knowing things for future videos. But I was just like mind blown. And then I had the Astral Realm experience with Kelsey Davies and Chris Starr. And essentially, they get captured by extremely malevolent entities. And my guides and I had to go rescue them. And I just want to note, too, that yes, they are pretty cautious in the physical. However, I feel like they don't know much about the astral realm stuff and the precautions that they have to take. And I feel like they get themselves into issues or trouble more so on the astral realm than they do in the physical. And I guess that could just be with not having enough experience on the astral realm. For me, it's like I spent a lot of time on the astral realm, and a lot of some of my first experiences happened on the astral realm, so I feel like I'm more savvy there than I am on the physical. So for me, it's a little backwards, but obviously, like, I've grown so much that now I'm doing much better in the physical end of things, and I can protect myself better. But I just wanted to note that, and I made this number 3 because just like the overall experience was crazy.
And that goes back to Emily's astrological chart, her natal chart. So she's more predisposed by just natural means to have astral experiences more so than everybody. So everybody's not going to experience it the same way. So like, you can, I mean, I have really vivid astral experiences, but they're few and far between, like really vivid ones. But Emily, on the other hand, because where her placement, she has like a triple conjunction in the 12th house. So, and it's with Neptune, Mercury, which is communication, Neptune's dreams, intuitions, and Uranus is unpredictability in the 12th house, which is the closest to the spirit. Has a lot to do with all that. So that's why naturally it would be more so. I know we've talked about it, but I think it's fair to mention that to people because we all experience everything differently. So just keep that in mind. If you're not having these crazy astral experiences, it's not because you can't. You might not just be meant to. I just like to put that out there to give people a perspective.
Yeah, and I feel like too that could be why like I have more experience than some others. Not saying I'm better than everybody, but
Mm-hmm.
I generally have more experiences than the average person, and that makes it easier for me to learn and know how to defend myself on the astral realm.
Yeah. And see, for me, for example, I do more remote viewing that can be considered somewhat astral, but I don't do it while I'm sleeping. It happens while I'm awake, and it happens really fast. For Emily, she goes better when she goes into meditation and or sleep. So it's different for everybody. So I just wanted to throw that in there for a learning opportunity for those that may not have heard us say that before.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But yeah, that's my number 3. What is your number 3?
All right. So number 3 was channeling a skeptic's house. Look, the video is going to speak for itself. It's got a lot going on. So I'm just going to go ahead and get Emily to insert that video here.
Brad had said, "Can you explain?" You got his mind on that railroad track now. He said, "Can you got any more vision?"
I'm also seeing I'm seeing hardwood floors and darker tone colors of a house. I just heard a small church with a tiny graveyard too for some reason.
There's a couple of those in town.
Yeah.
In LaGrange. So,
it might be near his house.
I bet they are.
Or maybe near where that happened.
His house used to be an orphanage.
Ah. How about that? I didn't know that. Where he lives now?
Yeah.
Really?
That's what he told me.
Oh, wow.
Brad and Tiffany Smith said, I have an old heart of pine hardwood floors, wide planks. House was built in 1901. And I can't read the rest. It disappeared.
2-story. Yeah,
Hush
1901, 2-story. She was right on it, Brad.
Yeah, because I caught an image of your bedrooms. But I'm laying in bed. I feel like there's hardwood floors underneath me. My bed's up against the wall, and there's a window to my right. And I can see a light, almost like a greenish blue light, but not in the bright green or blue, but a street light outside. One of those street lights kind of coming in through it. And I see something kind of walk past it or walk past the door. So it could be flopped, but you're laying in the bed up against a longer wall than possibly, or it's almost about, the room is almost about the same length and width, but it's a little different. It's not too much different in this old house, but there's a window there that is, I don't know if it's to the front of the house, but mainly in that room, it's like the bedroom doors on the left and the windows on the right. But I see something in that room. It's it kind of skitters. Do you ever hear footsteps or it's running through? I heard that. I don't know.
You ever hear that, Brad? Got Chasity. I'll bring her in. She's in our wonderful green room. Let me bring her in. Hello, lady.
Speaking of accurate, I have to mention this. How about that time I remotely viewed your house, Brad? I haven't had you on here live.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually thinking about that a few minutes ago when we were talking.
Yeah.
That also piqued my interest. And for those who aren't familiar with what happened, I have had a little girl. I've not seen her, but I've heard her voice on 3 different occasions. And, when you hear something, you can tell, you can hear the echoes, you can hear it in the room around you, and you can tell the difference between that and what you hear inside your head. This is a voice that I heard 3 times within my surroundings, not within my head. Once outside and twice inside the house. Just explaining that and describing that and talking about some things, Chasity kind of honed in, and she was able to tell me things about my house and very specific things, so far as what you see outside the window that's not on your property. That really was amazing. That kind of soap. I'm a skeptic. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a major skeptic, and I question things over and over and over.
I do too, Brad.
That sold me, because if I were to go right now and lay in that bed in that room and stare up at the ceiling. And that was the last place this little girl talked to me. Chasity described that room and my surroundings to a T. To the left was the door. To the right was the window. To the left was the door and the hallway. To the right was the window. What was outside that window? Something about light out there. And it's funny.
Straight
light.
Street lights. Laying in that bed, you can look out and you can see one street light that's different color from the other street lights up and down.
That's
And
Mhm.
then you
It
said
was
something about a
greenish,
church.
bluish.
Yeah, yeah. And something about a church or a graveyard. And
Yeah.
laying there, I can look and there's an empty house next to me. And above that house, I can see the steeple of that church right across there. So there's
Yeah.
just too many things. You know, it's hard to guess that and get it that accurate.
Yeah. And to explain how that works for people that may be curious is it comes through visioning. So, like for me, the way my gifts work, since I started in the paranormal field, if there's something legitimately paranormal happening, I can be thrown there into that space. And it's almost like I'm in Brad's POV. So I'm like, it's like me laying there in bed experiencing what Brad experienced. All right, so guys, that was crazy. I was on fleek because this was live. This was done live back when I first started doing lives with Down South Supernatural. So you saw two separate videos. One was a live that I did with Down South Supernatural that probably was on the Luminary Luna Beams. That's before I started our Appalachian Nightmare. And Greg, this was probably one of the first or second times that Greg and Riley really got to see my gifts and my abilities, because Greg was like, it was almost like, yeah, okay, at first. And he's just like, he got taken back. Brad was a skeptic, and Brad's been on investigations with us at Brushy Mountain and Henry River Mill Village. And he said he had an experience with that little girl chattering in his ear or whatnot, and or saying his name or something like that. And then I was immediately thrown into like Brad's POV in the bedroom. I was able to explain where the bed was, the light outside, the color of the light. I saw the entity, the black shadow. Don't think it was a little girl. As you heard, his house was an orphanage. I was like not astral projected, but remotely viewed, kind of astral projected into that town. You should definitely watch the full video on my Luminary Luna Beams channel. I even cut it, and you'll see it. I put it in the video or whatnot, the little thumbnail of the video. It was very, very interesting. The most validation, because a lot of times, if we're just doing these videos and stuff, we have nobody to bounce back off of. So we only are able to validate with our clients of our gifts or our abilities, right? Which is given to us only by spirit, right? Not just all us. We're getting this from a different place. And that, that's kind of the only time sometimes we get that validation, and we can't share all that information with you guys because it is private unless we get, the permission to do so. So I just thought that was pretty cool. The reason I put it at number 3, because it was just so scary accurate. I mean, I saw the church that's outside of his window. I literally like teleported to that house. But, I also realized too that some of these remote viewings, there also could be through the eyes of the spirit that I'm channeling. So it's multi-layered. It's not just me going there in the spirit. It's the spirits themselves I could be seeing, what they're showing me, and all that kind of stuff. So that was my number 3.
Awesome. Yeah, I've had something similar, but I wish it was on a skeptic.
Yeah.
and
was what
on
made
video.
it really.
Yeah. Okay, so my number 2 is a short one, and that has to do with Dylan Rounds. So when I did his video back in February, like February 20th of 24, he had appeared to me and he told me that he would be found in the next few months, which ended up being true because he was found in the beginning of April, which was less than 2 months from when I filmed the video. And he triggered my REM pod. While channeling, I hear loud as day, oh, this is where I hear Dylan Rounds' name. And I'm like, what the fuck? What does Dylan Rounds have to do with that? And that's when I made the little post under my community tab. That way it's documented if anything happens. There's something in my eye. So Could it be like... What the fuck? Mickey went off, and I got it on camera. That is so weird. We were talking about Dylan Rounds, yo. I was like, is that an intrusive thought? No. Like, I was thinking it, and Mickey went off. Thank you, Mickey. I'm glad I changed the batteries today. Paranormal activity caught on camera.
Yeah.
And I have that on camera.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good one. Dylan, from my experience, because I worked a little bit with the psychic sleuth, and me and her talked about it. I don't know if we did it live or anything, but my experience with Dylan, and she would say this too, is he's very, very strong. He come through so strong. He wanted people to find him. He told, I don't know, it's on video or it's somewhere. I even said he was going to be found in a wash. You could see it. Like when you tuned into his energy, he made sure, because he wanted to be found for his family. He made sure to show many, many psychics the same thing. And I didn't listen. You can go online and you can listen to other people's stuff, right? But I don't do true crime like that. Me or Emily, neither one. So for her to get that and for him to come through so strong, that's amazing. It's great.
Mm-hmm. That was amazing. And my REM pod, like yours, like never goes off. Like it never goes off. I used to have it behind me, and I got to the point where I just put him away because it just kept draining the batteries because he never went off. And that time he went off. So
that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
All
what
right.
about you with yours?
So number 2, this may not come as a surprise, is Bobby Mackey's. Bobby Mackey's as an experience on this channel. You can find several videos of me and Emily channeling prior to going to Bobby Mackey's. I found out they were tearing down Bobby Mackey's. We were going to both go together, but Emily had to stay back, unfortunately. Somehow I made it happen. It was meant to be. It's my second video on Our Appalachian Nightmare, my paranormal psychic YouTube channel. Yeah, that place completely nuts. I've got a little mini video of clips that I'm going to go ahead and roll just to kind of give you the experience. And I have yet to go back through every one of the videos I've made about Bobby Mackey's and completely tie in any psychic stuff together. But I'm super excited to do that. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and roll the video. I heard a disembodied voice go.
They're here laughing.
I heard a disembodied voice go.
They're here laughing.
That could be what you heard.
Inside laughing.
Yeah, we heard them.
Me?
Can you tell them to come out here and speak to us in person, face to face?
You see that?
Do you prefer?
Dark is better.
I know.
You're welcome.
You come closer in the dark, don't you?
That thing answered the question I was about to ask before I even asked it. I was about to ask, do you like being in the dark? Oh, and that did too.
It's your turn.
For what?
Feel it?
I feel the tingles, yes. You're on the floor.
One time.
Oh my gosh, I just got chills like crazy, bro.
You're on the floor crawling, aren't you?
That thing picked him up to right here. He's on the floor.
You want to touch that thing in the floor again?
They're here.
They're right there. Because I feel them and they're down low. They're crouched down low.
Tell them not to be shy and come in here and talk.
One of them just stood right beside of you.
We want all the smoke. Or I do.
Seen 2 orbs.
2 orbs. 2 orbs.
Seen 2 orbs.
2 orbs. two or
Dang it, boy.
we can go better than
Is-
that.
Something growling.
Yeah.
I heard that with my own ears.
Oh my God.
You're not allowed to touch anybody in this building. We are all protected by the light. Do you see my guardians?
All right, guys. That was the most intense place I've been. I mean, Madison Dry Goods, you had the feels and it was there. But when I was in Bobby Mackey's, the actual, what's it called? I had it sitting right here the other day. It was right there, but I don't know. Anyways, my EMF meter stayed on yellow. If it wasn't on yellow, it was on green. The EMF, and I know that can be from outside influences, and there are huge power lines right in front of Bobby Mackey's, or where it used to stand, because unfortunately they've tore it down now. But yeah, we need to insert that clip. I've got to insert another picture right here. Okay, so the picture that is going to go with the story. So that was the picture of the ghost leaving the building when they were tearing it down. And I want you to notice the features. Like, he looked all white, grayish white. Okay, give me that. But he also looked all white. So what I was seeing was like this main entity, and I wish I'd have voiced this more. Gosh, I wish I'd have voiced this more. There was the main entity. He was all dark, very present, very physical, not much behind the veil. Like, there's something I'm learning about spirits and locations. There's different layers of the veil, and how close they are to the veil makes a difference on how much a place is haunted. Like Madison Dry Goods, the veil's very thin. Bobby Mackey's, it was almost non-existent down in that basement. And that big sumbitch come up in the doorway, and it had people, like souls, that they started losing their hair, like I've said, and they just lost a lot of their features, and they turned white, almost like a rake. Like you see a rake with what's the word? Oh, I know it. I don't know why. Cryptids. So yeah, it just looked really weird, and they were scattered. They were like his scouts, and he was communicating. Greg was communicating with this dark thing. I could see it. V even said, "Can you see them?" I'm like, "Of course I can." And I pointed right beside Riley. I said, "It's standing right beside of you." And that's when we captured that big orb. Did not translate the way I saw it on video, but it did pick up the energy. So there was just a lot of energy there. Also, the little girl laughing. I heard girls laughing and talking through the veil as soon as I said that, and I heard it come through the veil. So another thing I've learned is sometimes I get psychic impressions before they even happen. So I'll get cued in to like that laugh, for example. You'd have to watch the whole video to get the full context, or at least that part of it, because I had to make these shorter. But literally, I'm like, I got cut off because Greg says, "You hear?" And Greg says, "They're here laughing." We caught it on all 4 devices. Hands down, chest crushing in that place. Like, people had to walk out. It was messing with people's hearts. Like, it was bad. And I mean, me and Emily, as mediums, any like psychic medium, we have access to all 4 of the clairs. Everybody does to a degree. Okay. But we have our strong suits. Clairsentience, I didn't think was a strong suit of mine, but I was totally wrong. I was totally wrong, because it was painful. It hurt to be in that building. And when they open back up, I think they're going to do paranormal investigations, and I'm going back. But yeah, that's my number 2. So
I was going to say, I think that's partially why I was kind of like subconsciously avoidant of that place, was because of my clairsentience and how it would most likely affect me. And so I feel like it makes sense. I kind of do want to go now.
It might be totally different.
Yeah.
It might be. That's the whole point. I mean, it might be totally different now. I want to go back to see if compared before and after.
I mean, you would think, like, if they're going to take out some things and replace it with new, it might dilute some of that thick energy that was left behind.
Have you seen it since they started tearing it down?
I think I only saw like 1 picture.
Yeah. So go ahead, and I'm going to send Emily a picture. We'll insert it here. It's
Yeah.
gone. There's nothing left. The only thing that's left is the wall to the room of faces, and that wall and the
The
portal to
big,
hell.
yeah, I was gonna
That's
say,
it.
I think I saw it where they have like that portal of hell. That's there. And that's it.
Yeah, it's it. And for anybody else, it's crazy. It hurts, but it had to go. I mean, it was a house built on top. There was a house literally inside of Bobby Mackey's that they built it on top of. It was an amazing place. I hate to see it go. But yeah, so I guess we're down to drum roll, or we could get like crazy and insert a sound effect maybe every once in a while. Maybe you go wild a little bit. Yeah, so number one, Emily, what is your number one experience?
When I went to Fort Mifflin, and because I was too distracted by the mosquitoes biting me, I forgot to cleanse myself before getting back into the car and going home. So you can guess what happened.
Emily.
I know. That's when Chasity reaches through the screen and goes, dumbass. But
Gotta do something. You gotta at least state it. I mean, I don't always cleanse myself with sage. You can't in some of these places. Some places you can't even open fire. So don't feel bad. Like you can't even burn anything there. But it's good to have oil or water, like holy oil or water, or at least the Claire. If you
I
can't have any of
had
that,
it. I had it with me. I had
it's
it with
okay.
me. And I was so distracted by the mosquitoes because it was so bad. And the thing with Fort Mifflin is it's right on the edge of the water. And so it's like marshy, like as you get up into the place. And so it's very, I don't want to say swamp-like because it's Pennsylvania, but
Yeah.
because of where it sits, the water sits, and it made the bugs so bad. I had like 30 bug bites. But
Mm.
that I was just doing this the entire time, and you could
Oh
see me do
hell.
it on camera. I had to cut a lot of that out, but because of that, I was distracted, and a French soldier followed me home. Though he wasn't malevolent, I would say. He was just I could feel his presence lurking around, and I knew somebody was there, and then eventually I saw his uniform, and I was like, what uniform is that? And then I had to like describe it in Google to see what the heck, because I don't know like what uniform goes with what country. But
Right.
I figured out that it was a French soldier. And I was trying to get him to go nicely. I'm like, hey, you can't stay here. Like, you're draining my energy. Like, and I don't like being watched. It's weird. And ultimately, he was afraid to cross over because of the things he did during war. And he thought, he would be judged and like sent to hell because of it. And so that was very sad. And I had to explain to him, like, during the time you had to do what you had to do to survive, you had to do what you had to do for your country. Like, everyone will understand you are going to be fine. And Archangel Michael was there and he helped me. But I'm very certain that he was crossed over because after that conversation and having Archangel Michael there and having that doorway for him, like after that he was gone. So I'm just gonna
Yeah.
assume he crossed over, but he was very like nervous because
Yeah.
he thought he was going to go to hell, and a lot of spirits don't cross over because of that fear, which is even really sadder.
Yeah. It's tough. It's really tough. And one thing I would like to add about Emily's video is she drew a picture and described like this creature she saw with wings and it kind of looked like a pig bat.
Oh
And
yeah.
when I went back and watched her video, the Seer app image she got completely. And now, look, I can't validate that Seer is 100% real, giving you my real opinion because I still have a hard time with the apps. The only app that I trust is Necrophonic, and I'm borderline trusting Seer app because it's just highly accurate.
Yeah.
But it's still amazing because you don't even have to have that program open unless it's listening, and it shouldn't have those permissions because it's not in the app clause. If it is, somebody let me know because we
Yeah.
use it. I can't find app permissions for it to listen when the app's closed or whatever. But yeah, it that somehow Emily caught that AI image, and I'm gonna get you. You got to put it in. You
Okay,
got
I
to put it
will.
in.
I will. I
Yeah, you
forgot
got to put
about
it
that.
in. Yeah, and I messaged her and I'm like, hey, and it was her first video, and I figured maybe she just didn't notice because she was editing and stuff. I get it, we leave stuff out, but it was cool. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, crazy.
I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me. But yeah, I'll insert those pictures. I still have them.
Okay. All right, guys. And for my number one, I'm going to make it really quick so I don't cry, but my number one this year was not necessarily paranormal at all. So I've talked about this a lot, and I said I was going to make a video about it, and I still want to on the Luminary Luna Beans channel because I think it may help people that have a family member or close friend crossover. So the morning I got the call, I was just laid down to go to sleep because I go to sleep late. It was like 5:30. My brother called me. He said, Mom's had another heart attack. She's unconscious. You need to go to the hospital. It's not the first time this has happened, but I felt it to be different. I knew it was different. I get in the car. I'm freaking out because once I hit the highway and I'm getting closer to the hospital, I feel a spirit. Can you hear that?
I heard something go ba-punk.
Yeah, that's an airplane. It's just flying so low. Sorry, guys. That was creepy because it was almost like the war's happening or something. That's how low that plane was. But basically, I'm sitting in the car and I feel an energy of a spirit. And I'm like, is this my mother? And I don't know, but it could have been one of my relatives from the past. I was by myself too. Somebody sat in the car beside of me. And that's when I knew, So, Mom was alive. They brought her back, but she had lost oxygen. So in that situation, you're kind of in a panic. They let me go see her, but she was having multiple seizures. It's very graphic, honestly, because she probably had 1,000 seizures the first day because she lost so much of her brain function, to so much oxygen. But when I got back home and I sat here, of course, I'm freaking out. She talked to me and she told me, I'm done. So I'm going to get through it without crying. That's why I haven't talked about it, but it was magical and it was very peaceful. She held my hand. Like I couldn't see her. I heard her. She says, this is going to be it. I'm okay. And she backed it up. Like when I went back into the room, Mom's aura, okay, was in and out. So like when she was in the hospital room, like I could tell she wasn't there. She was omnipresent. And as her days, she was alive for 4 days. We left her home because we took her off, life support because she wouldn't have wanted that. She wasn't going to get any better from the test results. And she talked to me. She held my hand. I even had dreams about her. I fluently heard my mother for the first 3 days if I needed to. She told me her last wishes, which was, I won't share completely, but she told me except for like her celebration of life, all she wanted was a cookout summer. She didn't get one, but she got one. She was there, just not the way we wanted her to be. Trying to get through it. It's too amazing not to share. And I wish I had more validation or proof, but she showed me lots of things. And she also, her energy, like the second day was more like, or third day was more in the room. It's like she stayed out of her body until it was time to come back and pass. And I asked Spirit, oh God, give me a second, Emily. So the last day, the only thing, the night before I asked Spirit, I said, I've done a lot for people and I don't ask for much. Just, can we make this easy when it's time to, and they did. Without a bunch of explanation, she was breathing on her own until 2 hours before she was scheduled to be cut at a certain time and we missed that cutoff period where they stopped the breathing stuff, but she was breathing on her own. So we had no clue how long it was going to take for her to pass over because she was breathing on her own. She stopped breathing, and that's something crazy to pray for. At the time, we were supposed to do it on her own. So you tell me if God's not real. That's my number one. I knew I wasn't going to be able to get through this without crying. I'm not too prideful to shed tears, but that was number one, if you can't tell.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I'm not sharing this to make y'all feel sad for me. It's not sad. It was beautiful. So number one.
Yeah, that's a good number one-er.
Yeah.
That topped mine, damn it. I'm just kidding.
Well,
not that you were trying.
No, but
I
it's
know.
significant. And I will make a video because I wrote down some things. I want to make a video because even though I can't prove this to you guys, it was so significant and a blessing to have that. So, I mean, that's one positive. Not every medium, some mediums can't read for themselves. I mean, I can to a degree. I'm not sitting here looking way out into the future here, but I can read for myself. And I do hear my relatives at least. I've heard almost every single relative that passed at least once within the first 3 days. They give me like that last final hurrah. And once that happened, they're only around for 2 or 3 more days more physically until they fully transition. It's something I've noticed. It's very interesting.
It's great you had that experience because it allows you to heal on your own, like on your terms. Yeah.
And for spirit to answer my prayers, even though it wasn't the best prayer to send out, for her to, she knew, like me and her talked after, and we didn't talk physically. She was in a coma the whole time, but like I even grabbed her legs and to make sure she was ready to go. When I grabbed her legs, it opened up a light portal straight through the top of my head and straight down through the earth. It was one of the most strongest things. And it was like my method of helping her detach her earth chakra. It was no longer there. So we have an earth chakra below our feet, and I don't know much about it, but intuitively, I do know it's what grounds us to the earth and our spirit here. And that was severed for her. It was very painful, but very beautiful. But yeah, guys, that's my top 5.
Yeah.
Hopefully nobody else cried with me, but I'm sure it was crazy. I really tried hard.
You did a good job.
Well, thank you. But I really have wanted to share that story. It's coming up on 6 months now. And it's still too hard. But of one day I'm going to get it all out.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that for people that are in a very similar situation, it's like that gives them hope to know that, yeah, there is an afterlife. Yeah, your loved ones can communicate with you even after they cross over. And I mean, for me, it gives me relief for loved ones. Not to worry about it. And I think that's what many people need to heal and move on.
Yeah. There was nothing not magical about that for me, or highly spiritual. I have a topic I may cover that I listened to a podcast, the Exorcist podcast, and they talk about how, we're communicating with demons and stuff, which is not necessarily, I can believe some of that. I do believe some people at some point, I'm sure I've communicated with a demon. I know I have, but I don't, there's a difference in the energy field. They're saying we're all tricked, or we're either what is it called? Where we just trick everybody else. But they talk about how there's real people out here that are conversing with spirits, but not of the fatherly kind, because it's taught not to worship that kind of stuff, or crystals, how we go use a crystal to transmute energy, and that it's not gone through God, so we shouldn't do it. And I respect everybody's religion. Honestly, I'm a believer in Jesus. Had experiences with Jesus as well, several times, that nobody can tell me that it wasn't, because they were so powerful. But they literally, in one breath, the lady that used to be a psychic, and then she was like, these crystals, if you want them for decoration, that's fine. But if you're wearing them to draw like love to you, then, you shouldn't do that, blah, blah, blah. And then they put an ad up for rosary beads because it's Catholic. Then they made an ad about rosary beads, and they're made from like stones, and they're made for prayers and counting. And I get it symbolized, and it's approved by the church, but is it really different? So
No.
I just wanted to bring that one up. That was an interesting one. I mean, to each their own. I guess I get told I believe in a different Jesus than they do. So
It's like when you have kids that believe in one kind of Santa Claus versus another kind of Santa Claus.
yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting, but I wanted to mention that. I thought it was funny because they were saying crystals and crystal jewelry is awful, but here you can buy our new rosary approved by the
And it's made of obsidian.
yeah, probably, or plastic. If it's not, it's
Yeah.
plastic, but it's probably obsidian or something, and incense and how people do rituals. But I don't know. It just seems a little strange because for me, it always makes me feel like a bad person. If I hear that, it's like, oh, great, I'm probably conversing with demons and telling people that, they're going, everything's fine, but we're all going to burn in hell. That's what they make you want to feel like. And then on the next breath, they're trying to sell you the same thing. It flipped me out. I thought it was crazy. I'm not poking fun. I'm not trying to make fun. I just found it to be an interesting thing. So let us know your thoughts in the comments below about that. Again, it's not to be disrespectful.
Yeah.
I just found it to be interesting. So, if we don't speak about these things,
Yeah.
can't have a conversation about them. I'm not here to argue, and I will not argue with nobody. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
But that's where I get frustrated because then you have the French soldier guy who's terrified to cross over because you have people telling him, oh, you're going to go to hell because of this, this, and this. And then it's like, now you're halting that person's spiritual journey to raise their vibration and cross over. It's like,
yeah,
it's
who crazy.
Who are you to tell someone that they can and cannot do that?
Yeah. So, guess we're all going to burn in hell together. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
hell is a real place. Hell is a real place. I don't make any joke about that. It's not a fictional. If anybody tells you that it's not real, that's not my opinion as a psychic medium. Out of anybody, and me and Emily or even other people, yeah, it's lower vibrational. It can help hold on to trauma, but that's how you access those places, is being in a vibration that is similar to that. And it happens as humans. And it just happens.
I think the important thing is, just because you didn't experience it doesn't mean it's not real.
Yeah. And that goes for me and Emily and everybody else. So, but anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. It's been a very cool little topic Emily come up with tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And you got anything else to wrap up, Emily?
We did it.
We did it. Dora, the Explorer. But yeah, and we're gonna also, I'll add this in really quick. We're gonna start probably running like ads for me and Emily on these videos, just mini tiny ones. We're probably gonna start with doing them at the end. So if you guys are interested in any of our new projects or releases or anything like that, watch the end of the video because it's all gonna change up. So until next time, guys,
peace out.
Hello everyone, I have a special announcement to make. Coming early in 2025, I am releasing my new Manifesting with the Moon prompt journal. You will be able to work with the lunar energy to help you manifest your goals. It includes how to manifest all 8 lunar phases, builds intuition with guided prompts plus more. It has 120 plus pages. Here are some examples of what you will see in the book that I created to help you on your journey through manifestation. It is 8.5 by 11 inches with space to doodle and practice card readings. Plus, it pairs with my Manifesting with the Moon class. It stands alone, or you can do both. It's totally up to you. It will be available on Amazon very soon, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for checking it out, and I look forward to launching this project for you guys in 2025.
Did you know that over 45% of people report experiencing paranormal activity in their lives? The unexplained is closer than you think. Yet, many turn to risky methods that can attract unpredictable energies, leading to unsettling experiences. Introducing the Spiritual Defenses, the Haunted Oracle deck, a safer alternative for those eager to explore the spiritual realms. If you are interested in supporting this project, click the Indiegogo link in the description box below. From there, you will be able to learn more about this project, donate, pre-order your own deck, and share out the link. Whichever you decide, thank you for taking the time to check things out. Thank you to all that took the time to listen to this week's episode. Your support means the world to us. And remember, all of us have the ability to shine brightly and shed positivity, even in the darkest of places. Stay safe, stay well, and light it up!